So next on the list is Riot with a very nice breakdown level, a very nice build up. For the breakdown, we have a mini 5-minute range in pre-market, which I absolutely love. It's actually not so much a mini 5-minute range, it's a bigger one, or a smaller one within a bigger one. So that's what I'm playing for. That was absolutely amazing, I think. Very nice upper wicks. Retesting this level on the 15-minute chart. Daily still has a lot of room to go, only have this resistance to go up against. Weekly also not at all extended, bouncing off of the 9. Clearly have room, I think, until this initiation support somewhere around here, so even that's like freaking beautiful. Given how we only have this level and the setup is so great, maybe I could have held till end of day, taken an entry once we have broken down, even in pre-market somewhere around here, or I'm not even sure if we had a breakdown pre-market. No. So this was the absolute low around here, and as soon as we started breaking down, I think an entry could have been taken. Only one ours initially, because it wasn't that big of a break, and it easily could have just fake broken. But as soon as it dumped, maybe could have added another R, or just skipped this entry altogether and went for 2R around here. Stop loss above the range. And yeah, I think that's an easy one right there. EOD hold is also worthwhile. Maybe a bit of partial at this level, but given how weak it was, I don't think that was necessary. And if we look on the daily, we got a very nice trending day all the way down to 673, which is clean as hell. So yeah, very solid day. MU, so we're doing somewhat of a reverse ABCD, but we are at a weird support-ish level, not really liking it for a longer or short base of the daily. Weekly is a bit extended to the downside, although not really, and I don't really think that the ATR is exhausted as of yet. Yeah, so what I wanted to play it for was a fake break and then a playback. The fake break happened in the pre-market from yesterday's low, and now we've reclaimed. We had a relatively okay-ish level, break and retest for a scalp to the long side. Don't really like moving averages against me. Don't really like the 1 minute setup as well, just because of this mini range against me. I would have loved to see some more confirmation around here, maybe a range, then a break and retest of that range for a play around here. But yeah, this was just a no-go for me. VST, okay, we have a long bar down into a support and resistance area. Don't really have much of a pullback for about, math is failing me right here, approximately around 10-11 bucks, which is 2-point health or ATR. At least we have a level. Usually I like for these plays, I like for the price to open right on the level of fake break and then reclaim. This was a bit choppier, but did end up working. I would not have traded it though, because the level is subpar. The extension, while not bad, it's not really an A setup either, and nor is the intraday, so that's just a skip. BA fake breaking some key levels. Bouncing off of this, I think it fake broke that as well. Quite a high volume and couldn't really get any follow through. After the fake break, we're getting an ABCD, although I have found that these inward curving ABCDs are not really the best ones. They don't really like to work that well. They just have like tons of resistance levels ahead where they can fill. So yeah, BA, very ugly how we broke out of this range or these resistance levels, whichever you want to pay attention to. We fake broke, and I'm playing it for a long after that. After a fake break like this, I would have liked for it to reclaim, maybe put in a double bottom, and then continue off of that. But even then, I just wouldn't really play this type of inward curving ABCD. Daily setups subpar as well. Weekly, yeah, it's not extended to downside, so not really with me, not against me, but nothing super convincing here on BA. NEE, we're slowly, nicely trending up. Off of the 9 EMA, this is candle number 111, maybe 2. Right around here, breaking these highs. We've got some clear sky up until 85-ish, somewhere around there. Not exactly sure. But I think that's a clean long on NEE. On the weekly, daily is also super nice. Day 1 off of 9 EMA, some choppy action. Once we clear 81.19, then I think it's good to go. 6-minute chart is very choppy. I'm not really keen on that. Usually on these ones, I would just wait for some intraday structure to be set up, and I would take a play off of that, but it didn't really happen. We just peaked out until 80% of the ATR from pre-market low, and then just dumped back down. Again, an invert curving setup with a double bottomish pattern, but it wasn't really nice. If anything, I should have waited for a break and retest of these highs, but even then, it's just not really a solid one with this peak out and fail at my target. Oxy, very large scale breakdown. I'm absolutely loving it. First support area is gonna be a bit further down around here, so we've still got a lot of room for that. This is day 1 after the breakdown, even though this is day 3 after the 9 EMA bounce. I'm counting it as day 1 due to how large the breakdown was on the weekly. So we've got a clean reverse ABCD off of the 60, again invert curving ABCD, but now that we have the confirmation after that, I'm more than willing to play it. I'm not even exactly sure which one. Oh yeah, this was the 9 AM candle. The 9 AM candle. So yeah, inward curving. So not playing after the confirmation, but playing for the confirmation. But with a breakdown of this magnitude, I think that going against something like this is reasonable, especially that we've got the 20, we've got the 200, and we've got the 50 with us. We've set up somewhat of a 1 minute range, although very ugly and filled with ghost candles, so not paying much attention to it, but the breakdown of that, the fact that the moving averages were holding and that the larger time frame breakdown is in place gives incentive for a play, I think, very easily. I would be a bit more careful than I was when I was annotating this chart, and would place my stop above pre-market high and then enter once we break this mini quote-unquote range. SPY wasn't really cooperating in the first half, but didn't really follow it. Oxy doesn't usually follow SPY all that well. And yeah, I think could have gone for an ATR target, but easily could have gone for an EOD move, or just set my target for these support areas in case we reach them. Not even sure what EOD was. Let's just check. What day is it? It's 9:05. So that would be somewhere around here. Yep, EOD closed somewhere on there. So would have been, I think, a clean one. This is basically the next day, so day 2. After the break, we set up a very nice reverse ABCD-ish slash move, then consolidation, set up, fake break out of it, and after the fake break, we retest the highs of the range. So fake break, getting back into the range, retest. I could have gone for an entry somewhere around here, a stop above the range, or if I wanted to be a safer, stop above the peak out, but I think that's completely unnecessary. Maybe I could have retested, but if it just retests and rejects again, then I could wait for a breakdown from the range. I don't really want to enter prematurely, because now that we've broken out from the range and we've broken out again, I just don't want it to turn into an ABCD. So had it broken out again, I would have waited for a loss of the bottom of the range and a retest of that, or something like that. Again, E of the hold is quite reasonable in my opinion. The The entry is quite clean. Stop loss is clean as well. Maybe, because it's day 2 after the break, I could have gone for 100% of the ATR, but the volume on the sell-off was where nothing really concerning about here, and even on the next day I would have gotten a near low of day close, so clean one here as well. PTON, so we've got a long bar and then a doji that is half within the bar, half outside of it. I'm a bit more short biased under the doji. Within the doji, I don't really have a bias, and we're within the doji. PTON, okay, so we've got a nice ABCD with some ignition volume on the first 2 bars that are making the move. Usually I like to play for some continuation setups off of these daily heavy volume, quick ignition and price setups. And I like for price in the 60 minute to get somewhat tighter, and we have this nice ABCD, very okay-ish range. It's not really extraordinary. And we have, this was the 60 minute range-ish thing, we have an ABCD-ish pattern going off of it. And I believe I took an entry somewhere around here. I took it way too heavy, like 4 hours. Didn't really know what I was doing, but it was definitely risky. 9 AM candle was, let's just check it this way. 9 AM candle was this one, so we don't really have much resistance ahead of us aside from this isolated pivot, and which aligns with this level, which we got into and then rejected and then tried to go up higher, but we just absolutely couldn't. Took my position off here after the double rejection of that level, and I remember that this was not the 4-hour trade. I think this was just a 2-hour trade, but I think my entry was alright. I think I give too much importance to gappy and choppy ghost candles like this, even though the pattern would have been nice had it not been formed by such candles. I was just placing too much importance on it. Nevertheless, still a 1-hour trade I think would have been worth it after this hammer. Easily somewhere around here, stop loss here, and just go with that, with the same entry, stop loss, and exit. Stop loss should have been below here, not where I marked it. Run. So weekly is now pulling back to the 9 EMA, and I found that whenever stocks are trending and pulling back to the 9 EMA, they tend to have a day of a bounce, but this is on the daily, so weekly, not really sure about it. We're retesting some levels, but we've also fake broken some levels, such as this isolated pivot, and we've rejected this initiation sell-off as well. On the daily, I can't really see anything, so after this gap higher, we are now holding prior bar highs. Still no violations, so a bit more bearish on this. It is guilty until proven innocent to the short side. I wanted to play it for a bit of an extension into this level. The 60 minute only had 2 consecutive candle extension with approximately $1 in distance, which was 80%-ish of the ATR, 80-90%. 15 minute also had 2 consecutive candle extensions. 5 minute was a bit nicer, got some nice extension from the 9 EMA, and the 1 minute had put in a nice curving pattern, which I like, but it didn't really get that extended from the 9. It was basically parallel all the way, so for that reason and the fact that the 15 and the 60 weren't that extended and the daily was more short biased, I would not have taken this trade. TTD, so conveniently both SPY rounds here, and cannot see the weekly chart around here, but we've tried to deal with this high and we couldn't. We're just chopping right on the edge of it, or the high is in the middle of the chop zone, so a bit more long biased because how we're holding here, and I think that's maybe why I was similar to the bottom of this range, we rejected the highs, didn't fake break, which is quite nice. We have 2 consecutive candle extensions into the lows. 5 minutes relatively extended. I'd say we have some nice room till the 9 EMA. 15 minute has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive candle extensions, so that's nice as well. 5 minute has a confirmation candle, and the 1 minute curve is, I'd say, okay-ish, but definitely not supreme, so would not take a trade. Everything is just a bit too iffy. Not really in love with the daily, not really in love with the 60-minute level or the intraday confirmation that it gave me. So yeah, this would just be a simple skip for me. VFC, somewhat of an ABCD-ish pattern, although I don't really like how we've got this wick against us. The daily is right now back at a retest level, but don't really see any sort of confirmation on the 60-minute chart. I wanted to play this for the shorter side, but I'm guessing because of the fake break. I counted this as a fake break and now this as a reverse ABCD, but there's just too much support and resistance ahead of us, so easy skip for me. Don't really like the intraday confirmation either, it's more of just chop, although there is some heavy volume on that shooting star. Disney, very easy short bias around here, a bit of support against us, but I think given how nicely we're trending down, holding 9 EMA, and I love these whenever we're holding 9 EMA with an ABCD, and we have these like 2 candles that are basically at the same price. Don't have to be inside, doesn't necessarily have to be an inside candle, but I love it when it just remains in the lower portion of the previous candle, and these tend to work really well for continuations. So the weekly, I think, is an A setup over here would be a plus, if not for the support here against us. Daily is somewhat of a range structure that we're now breaking down from. This is gonna be day 3 from the 9 EMA, but the day 1 and day 2 are definitely not extended. 60-minute chart, super ugly, no clean pattern, a big gap up around here, then a rejection. It's just hard to get a hold of these. Larger time frames were super nice. So we got a nice extension into here. Couldn't even have entered off of that because it didn't really get like super extended on the 1. Yeah, maybe after the breakdown and retest of this level, but I would have liked a larger breakdown and then a larger pullback, because this just doesn't really cut it for me. It's definitely a valid one according to my system, so it's above 25%, but I don't know why. I just would have liked it to be a bit longer or deeper. But yeah, this just ain't it for me. Fastly. Okay, so pretty similar to what Disney was doing, except we haven't closed this candle yet, the lower portion inside candle. Daily is also coming off of the 9, but we do have some support ahead of us, so that is annoying. I wouldn't really trade this ticker unless we go below this level, which I can't quite read. 561, is it? Oh, 564, 565. I traded it before that. Definitely a big mistake. Should not have traded it after the fake breakdown and retest, because for this move, I'm not expecting for this pullback to continue the move downwards. Even though the breakdown was relatively okay, we still have some support against us, and it's just insufficient. Plus, it's, I think, quite safe to say that this intraday price action is just pure garbage. Alrighty, so Mara. 9th of September, breaking down from a very large weekly structure, which I'm absolutely loving, but we seem to have gapped up right above this level on 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive candle extension to the downside, so I'm a bit more long bias, but only for a scalp or something. 60's got a reverse head and shoulders pattern, nicely claiming and retesting moving averages, so that is clean. For a long side as well, we have a somewhat okay-ish downward trend line which gets broken right in pre-market, then retested. We have a pre-market level which gets broken and retested as well. A bit aggressive pullback, but I like the fact that we have formed a range for which I wanted to play the breakout here. Would have been safer to wait for the breakout and retest and play that for a scalp back up to the highs, but this works as well, I think. I just wouldn't really take it now because I don't really have much conviction in these. BPA is not really telling anything. There was a moving average in the form of the 50 at 14.10, 14-ish, which was somewhere around here. So yeah, maybe some chop could have been expected here, but I kind of liked the setup given how nice the larger time frame confirmations were. What was a bit risky about this later entry is that we had an aggressive pullback, and I don't like playing aggressive pullbacks unless they're very, very clear retests, which in this case it wasn't, because as I said, the 50 MA on the 60 was here, plus we basically were just still stuck inside of this range. So I'm not sure. Maybe because of that it would have been better to take it right here the first time, which I marked, or maybe an even cleaner one was waiting for this large breakout and retest. Wasn't really that aggressive pullback, didn't have much room to be aggressive, and we had like 3 very nice confirmation candles that didn't really move anywhere, so after that I could have taken an entry and let it run for yesterday's high. It was, yep, yesterday's high. So yeah, I think that was super clean. 15 minute was supporting me all the way as well. 200 MA in the way, but could have played around that. And SPY was just, I think, supporting me for most of the time, except for the last entry that I mentioned. Did I review this already? Oh no, this is another fastly trade. Immediate dismissal based upon gappy choppy price action. But let's just entertain the idea for a second. Still very nice on the weekly. So in these cases, when the stock is like a forever sinker, I don't really count valid pullbacks because these definitely weren't valid according to my system. But whenever it's just hugging the line, it's not extended, I just play for short side still. So we have somewhat of a 3-bar player setup, which I'm loving, but we still have these, or this support area to deal with. So that's a bit more risky. We have a relatively nice area that we can play the breakdown and retest of, little support below that, so a bit risky. But I think that what I did here was relatively okay on the 5-minute chart. Price action is still super choppy, so had it been cleaner, it would have been okay. A breakdown, couldn't really do that. Then a full breakdown of low of day, a retest, and this wick was the ugliest part of this trade. Had it not been there, my entry should have been on a new low of day break. With it being there, I would not have taken this trade. Only if price action was like super clear. Mara. So this is after the fake break. We have now got a confirmation candle and an ABCD on the 60-minute chart, but I don't really like the fact that we've broken out of this range. Fake broke, retested the high of it, and now we're slamming down. I wouldn't really long something like this. Yeah, last candle was a big old shooting star. 5 minute. I don't like playing against slam down candles unless we have a parabolic extension, which we somewhat had. It wasn't bad. Volley VP could have been nicer. I definitely would have waited for a new 1 minute high. I don't really like these large wicks on this 1 minute bar. And after just 4 minutes of consolidation, it wasn't really like parabolic anymore, so not really worth giving it yet another try, even though it did work out. I just don't really think that that would have been the way to go. Maybe a breakout and retest of the range, but we didn't really get that. Pfizer seemingly setting up some nice higher lows, and now we have this double bottomish structure here, but we are still within this range defined by these two pivots. We tried to peek out but failed ultimately, and now we're back into it, just dropping around the moving averages. So that's ugly, but I like the fact that we've broken out of this one daily range with one clean bar. Sufficient pullback. I like the fact that we have double bottom-ish confirmation here. I would not have entered what I marked I would, just because of this mini PM or pre-market range fake break, and now to the other side. It did end up working, but wasn't really clean. Then we had too aggressive of a pullback. Would have loved for it to stay here, range, then break, retest, and take it somewhere off of that. Retest. I mean, it ended up working, but not really a safe play, in my opinion. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not running out of time here. Okay. Be a weekly breaking down, third candle, but nice, solid weekly level breakdown, so don't really care about that. So daily set up a weird structure here, somewhat a double top-ish, but we do have a very largely peeking out candle around here, which we still have as resistance, and probably lots of shitty support or resistance levels ahead of us in on the 60 as well. Exactly right. So what I would do in this case is either, if this were a cleaner level, play that and try and get a stop loss move around here, or just wait for a very clean 60-minute slash intraday pattern and trade off of that. Trading below this would also be viable, but by then we probably would be extended on this current day, so I would not trade that. We had a nice reverse ABCD on the 6-minute chart. Level was quite alright as well. Again, support resistance levels ahead of us. That's quite ugly. 20 EMA supporting, 200 EMA not quite there. 50 EMA on the 15 is a bit below us. I don't really like the fact that on this ABCD range on the pullback we got a fake break. First, that's now acting again as support resistance. We have this range below us as well. It's just way too risky of a trade for me, even though it did end up working down till this low. Not sure what my target would have been. ATR is around $6, so on a breakdown of this magnitude, I think 100% would be the right choice, but given how we have this resistance ahead of us, support resistance, I probably would have partialed here, move my stuff to break even, or something that made a bit more technical sense. Probably a break above VWAP and then a structure break above that, which was also, I think, a level from yesterday's low. Yeah, it was. So some around here would have been a nice stop out had I entered the trade initially, but I don't think I would have.